The Caligula Effect Overdose. Yeah, this looks like a weeb game. What is it about, you ask? Well, if you think it's about a tyrannical ruler that overdoses while binging anime, it's not. You're basically whisked away to a Matrix-like world at the behest of a Vocaloid. You know, those synthetic singing girls. I'm sure you've seen Miku and such. This cute girl Mew here is the overlord of this world that is not at all related to the Matrix, whose sole purpose seems to be sparing people from the pains of the real world and giving them an escape. That sounds like the internet, alright. In the world of Mobius, the people are regressed into a perpetual life as high school students, because that's what everyone's secretly wishing for. Most people don't realize that they never seem to age or that they've been repeating the same few grades over and over. Of course, when the simulation breaks down, some wake up or graduate from the illusion and realize that they can't escape from Mobius or even remember how they got there. Those people are in the minority, as everyone is under a music-induced illusion. Mew, the nice jailkeeper, asks if she can get you anything, aside from leaving, of course. Lover, I guess? A little ball of light that looks like the cousin of Link's fairy appears to try and convince Mew to go home and let everyone leave. The fans just think you're criticizing Mew's music, so it's time to yeet. Here comes Shogo, another graduate who recognizes the imperfections of this world. He has a weird way of greeting folks, but he wants to go home like you and is on your side. Now that we have some privacy, the little fairy called Aria confesses that she has a connection to Mew. Some fans overhear and come to get her autograph, so Aria tries to draw on the main character's pain and invoke their persona. Huh? Gonna wake up my persona? The game gets awfully deep and introspective. Just feel free to tell the game your personal traumas, no one's judging you. I mean, if this were a Telltale game, you'd see a statistic at the top right showing what % of players agree with you, but luckily that's not a thing here. Once our feelings come bursting out, we transform and get some sweet akimbo guns, and a tutorial plays out. The battle is like Final Fantasy where you give out orders and watch the characters execute them, only there's no individual turn taking, so all the characters act in real time at once. The simulation acts out how things should theoretically play out if all the hits land. It's kind of like Fire Emblem when you're trying to combo things together so they play out just right, but then Ferdinand misses the crit, which puts Bernie in danger, and then you're out of Divine Pulses, so the whole thing is just out of order, and I'm probably going to have to sacrifice someone, but I don't know how I'm going to take the death knight. Was that a Fire Emblem flashback? Where was I? Sorry about that. So, Aria confesses that she aided Mew in creating Mobius originally as a dreamlike refuge for people suffering in the real world. Mobius was to be an escape from reality, sort of like how video games work, but something changed and Mew turned Mobius into a prison, again, like video games. With Aria in her weakened state, all she can manage to do is draw out our powers to fight against the so-called Digiheads. Shogo relents that they would benefit from Aria and accepts her as an ally. Now it's time to meet the resistance members of the students, whose hideout is actually deep in the school. Welcome to the Go Home Club. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's familiar with a club like this, right? Right, guys? In this club, we've got Shogo, the president, Kotono, the graceful beauty, Kotaro, the meathead, Mifue, the easygoing one, and Suzuna, the introvert. Things are looking up now that they have us, their secret weapon, against the Digiheads. Arya is also included in that. The others quickly accept her as one of them, except for a certain stubborn blockhead stereotype. The plan they come up with is to bring Arya in front of Mew and sit them down so they can talk things out and come to a reasonable conclusion. It's actually a really sensible plan that doesn't include violence. I know it's surprising for a game like this. For now, the best way to locate Mew is to find the Ostinato musicians. The songs Mew sings keep this world running, and the musicians are the ones who wrote the songs for her. Hence, they would have an inkling of her location. One of those songs starts playing on the school speakers, causing some students to frenzy and become Digiheads. As of now, we're the only one who has awakened our power by unleashing our deep-seated emotions, so naturally the best way to proceed is to split up. Here the game opens up and we can go exploring. The game introduces a Persona-like mechanic of having NPCs that have backstories and rewards for uncovering those and helping them in their personal quests. Except in Caligula Effect, almost every student in this world has a story and quest attached to them. All of them. And you can also recruit them to fight with you as they use their unique skill set and stats. I repeat, every single NPC is recruitable. Holy cow. Makes those games that have like 8 playable characters seem petty in comparison. Am I right? The Go Home Club continues to search for information about the identities and the whereabouts of the musicians. With no leads in hand, we stumble on a little birdie looking into rumors of the Go Home Club. A little flower ring goes to Kotara's head and he proudly proclaims that they are the members of the secret club. So much for anonymity. I think Shogo is a bit disappointed. In return for the info, the birdie, Naruko, tells them about Kagi P, the musician that has been playing his song to the entire school. Kagi P is a student in the 3rd year, so the group ascend the confounding school layout in search. With a tag-along who is obsessed with her Twitter following, they run into a friend of Naruko's who's concerned about her lack of real-life friends. Honestly, I don't see any problems there. During their search, the Digiheads spot them and ambush them. Does it seem strange to anyone that they recognize the members of the club so easily? Having had enough bullcrap, Shogo's emotions go haywire, and he awakens the power of not giving a single schmuck anymore. With a giant revolver in hand, we now have a new team member. The threat taken care of, we get a little lesson on the power we have known as the Catharsis Effect. In essence, Digiheads also have that power, but they lose themselves without Arya around to maintain control. Having understood Catharsis in theory, Kotono surprises us by breaking out of her shell successfully and sporting her new bow. I'm not really sure what set her off, but I for one don't intend to find out. As a side note, people like Naruko don't notice anything wrong with us fighting Digiheads in front of her besides a small altercation. Now we have 3 members to fight with, so it's time to keep searching. A bit later we run into another girl aware of the disparity in the world. She takes one look at Shogo and books it, knocking him aside. Maybe she's an ex or something, or Shogo just has the worst luck with girls. On the 3rd year's floor, they find Kagipi's classroom, except he's nowhere to be found. Naruko seems confused that the reality is different than she remembers, which could be a distortion in this world just playing tricks on her. She states that she knows for a fact Kagipi is actually Kensuke Hibiki in real life. Out of the classroom comes Eiji, the top of the class in grades, and also rivals with Shogo in just being fashion divas. When asked about Kensuke, he admits that Kensuke should have been the representative for the 1st year, so he wouldn't be on the 3rd year floor. Sounds perfectly natural that the guy who should be a 3rd year is just casually repeating the 1st year, right? It appears that Eiji is aware of this world's reality to an extent, but Shogo decides not to invite him and lose his position as the cool guy of the group. Arya notes that Naruko is slowly becoming more aware of the inconsistencies in this world. The club reassembles at the 1st year's floor and discusses what they found out about Kagi P. A question about the Digihead's behavior prompts Arya to explain that they subconsciously determined the club members to be a threat to their paradise, as Mobius is made up of the songs and the people who listen to them. If more people wake up from the dream, the world becomes unstable. In the classroom, it turns out that Kagi P isn't there, and he lays out that they've got photos of the club's identities, all courtesy of a little birdie spreading selfies to her followers. The students go out of control and attack them, which causes Kotaro to man up and awaken his powers, bringing our team to a full 4-party roster. The fighting settles down, and Naruko's eyes are finally opened to the reality of Mobius. They leave her behind somewhere safe and go after Kagi P speaking from the broadcast room. A lone wolf guy named Izuru passes by where Shogo makes another failed attempt to recruit him. The handsome side distraction comes and goes, and eventually the club finds the broadcast room. A small dungeon contraption, and we finally reach the boss room to fight against Kagi P. The club tries to reason with Kagi P, but he isn't having any of that. Who needs reality when you can stay young and produce popular songs all day? He says he's had enough of adulthood and doesn't want to put up with all the hardships anymore. And in order to ensure that Mobius stays stable, he can't allow us to leave. A fruitless boss battle later, and it seems we've beat the frustration straight out of Kagi P, or Kensuke, as it's just easier to call him. He gives in and tells us that he doesn't have Mew's location, but another musician named Sweet Pea might. I feel like this is going to become a pattern soon. Kensuke comes to his senses and considers giving the real world another shot, so he joins up with the club and offers his musician powers. And that concludes the first dungeon and boss fight of the game. Thank you for watching the video, everybody. This has been your host, Ark. These clips were taken from a full playthrough that is being streamed on my channel, so if you'd like to see more, then check it out at twitch.tv/ark125x or check the links down below in the description. That's all, so stay tuned for more of the Caligula Effect Overdose.